Greetings everyone, welcome to Chess Advanced, and this is a game from one of the two best attackers that maybe chess ever had. This is a game played between Rashid Nezhmetdinov and Mikhail Tal, and one of the two fiercest attackers ever known to chess. And off the board they were quite great friends. They love to play chess against each other, and definitely this game just shows that. But on the board it was all fireworks, just like this game. So without further ado, I'm not going to keep you waiting for this one because I'm excited for this one as well. So without further ado, let's start with this game. Here Rashid Nezhmetdinov is with the white pieces and he starts with this very phenomenal e4. And Tal, always up for a fight, he goes for this c5. And we have knight to f3 but just e6. And here we go for the French variation and we have this d4. And we have c captures and just knight captures. And we have a6 and we have knight to c3 and just queen to c7. And we have this bishop to d3 but just knight to c6, just both players developing their pieces. And we have bishop to e3, and with this bishop to e3 move you can maybe see white actually castling queenside with going for a move like queen to d2 and maybe playing f4 if white is a little bit too ambitious. And here, even after a move like knight to f6, here we just see castles kingside by Rashid. And we have knight to e5 but just this h3, and after knight to b5 we have an immediate f4. Yes, definitely both players, as you can see from this game, are just, and attack is definitely just second nature to them, because here knight is under attack and you have to move it. So here knight to c4 was played, and you can see that that knight is a very phenomenal piece attacking that bishop, and if that bishop is captured it follows the fork. So here just bishop caps on c4, you have to give the bishop pair early on, and here queen caps on c4 but just queen to d3, asking for that queen trade early on. And here instead we have this phenomenal d5 just striking in the center, and here Rashid replies with just trade in the center with this e captures, and here queen caps on d3 was played but just c captures. And here with this very nice b4, not even responding to that but just first an attack on the knight, and now you have to move the knight. So here knight to e4 was played, but now this knight caps on d5. Tal gets a very strong knight on the d5 square, and this game is actually from an Olympiad. This was held in Moscow, Russia, and this game is actually from 1 year prior to when Mikhail Tal actually became world champion. So definitely one of his phenomenal forms. And here Rashid actually went for this bishop to d2, just moving that bishop as it was under attack. And here just a5 was played as that pawn was under attack, so just cementing that pawn right there. And we have rook a c1, but instead of this rook a c1 there was even something better in the position which Rashid could have gone for. He could have gone for this very phenomenal f5. And here after a move like e5, as the knight is in attack, you have to move it. So knight to f3, just attacking that pawn. And here after a move like f6, now you go for this d4, just challenging that pawn. And now you have to play this bishop caps on f5 as that pawn was free, and now the knight is under attack. So here rook to e1, just defending that knight. But now black can very nicely occupy this very nice c file and play this rook to c8. And only after d captures and bishop captures and rook captures and bishop to c5 check, first a very nice in between move, because only after king to h1 and now with the black castles, as the king is not under fire anymore with this rook. So here you can just capture the f6 pawn. So after e caps on f6 and after knight captures, as now the rook is under attack, so you move it rook to c4. But instead here just rook a to c1 was played, and here just bishop to e6. And after rook to e1 we have g6. And now here you'll see why I call these men one of the most fiercest attackers in ever known to chess, because here Rashid plays a phenomenal sacrifice. And so I'm just gonna ask you to pause the video and try to find this brilliant move while I give you a couple of seconds. So congratulations on everyone who's able to find this move, and the move is actually this beautiful f5. And definitely one of the greatest weaknesses of the great attacking players is that they don't want to face an attack, and it's very difficult defending for an attacking player. And that's what you can see, because here there's not an actual threat in this position. There is a threat if you go for this e captures, because you definitely don't want to do that, because if you go for this e captures then the next move is just gonna be actually quite destructive, because here knight to f6 check, and there's not many squares that the black king has, because this rook is very swiftly covering this very entire file. And after king to d8 you get this rook to e8 checkmate. Okay, so e captures out of the question. So what about g captures? So if you go for this g captures, then just knight to c5. And here after f4 now you go for this king to f2, and after bishop to e7 now you just capture the a6 bishop. And after rook captures you play this rook to e4, decentralizing that rook. And only after king to d7, just getting that other rook into the game as well, you just play knight to e2 and just pile up on this weak backward pawn. And yes, you'll recapture that pawn, but there's nothing better in this position for white. And if anyone's pushing for a win, it's definitely black. So that was definitely in the position for Tal, but Tal, thinking that there may be a twist to all of that, he did not go for either of the captures, and that's how attackers play mind games with you, and it's very difficult to come out of it and calculate all the lines. And here just bishop g7 was played, but now comes an even spectacular move, which is just f6. Yes, sacrificing that pawn once again, and now it has to be captured. So here knight caps on f6 was played, but not going for this knight captures and trading more pieces, because that would come with an attack on this knight, which is just very nicely centralized, but instead going for this very spectacular knight to d6 check. And now the king has to move, and the king cannot castle to safety, and which is what the attackers want. And Rashid, every move just shows that beautifully, because here king to e7 was played. Here white is definitely down material, and here the best move in this position is this rook to c7 check, and you have to be very careful in this position. The position is just very volatile, because if you even dare to go for this king caps on d6, then it's very much trouble for you, because there's bishop to f4 check, and then the only move, which is this king to d5, but this knight to b3, and now it's very difficult to stop this rook to c5 checkmate, because here the bishop is covering this entire line, and this pawn is doing a very nice job of covering these squares, and just knight is covering that square, so it's just very difficult to get out of this cage. But if you're still persistent and you try to cover up this bishop's tracks, and you try to go for this e5, then there's an even better move in this position, which is this rook caps on e5 check. And now if you go for king to d6, you get this rook caps on a5 with a very nice discovery, and here king has actually only one square with this king to e6. But now I'm sure you can all see the move, which is this mate in one with this knight to d4 checkmate. And in whatever of that line, you're not supposed to capture that knight. Instead, what you want to play in this position is you want to move the knight back, fall back with the knight, and defend. And then you're definitely doing very much fine. You're up 2 pawns and maybe hopefully winning in this game. But instead here Rashid did not go for any of that. He instead just kept on sacrificing more material, because he went for this knight captures on f7. I mean, it's just phenomenal. And here after king captures on f7, you can do nothing rather than just capturing that knight. And here rook to c7 check was played, and now the king is pushed back to this g8 square, and with this knight caps on e6, you're just threatening to pick up the bishop as well. So here the best move, which is this knight to e8, just defending that. But I mean, just look at black's position. All of these pieces crammed up together. Black is the one who is better in this position, but I mean, who wouldn't choose white? So here just rook to d7 was played, just keeping up the pressure and asking black, what are you going to do in this position? And mostly in these types of position, black is the one calculating everything, from all of these lines to defending all of this. You have to defend precisely every move, and that's where mostly defenders make a mistake, because this was the very crucial moment where you had to find only one defensive resource that you have. So once again, for the second time in this video, pause the video and try to find this phenomenal defensive move while I give you a couple of seconds. So congratulations on everyone who's able to find this move, and the move is actually h5. Just making some breathing room for the king, because here after knight caps on g7, you play knight captures, and after rook e to e7, just threatening to pick up that knight, you just move the knight out of the way, and after knight to f5, that square is defended, and pretty much white can do nothing in this position. And even if you go for this rook to e6, now that rook was under attack, so you have to move it. You just play rook to h7, and now that pawn is going to be grabbed with check. So after rook caps on g6 check, you play king to h8, and now after rook captures, king captures, and after rook to g5, just attacking the knight and the pawn. You cannot save both of them, so just bishop caps on d3. You grabbed the pawn, you defended your knight, and now you're up a piece and in a completely winning position. So that was definitely all in the position, but instead in time trouble, here Tal actually blundered and played this knight to f6, trying to give back the piece. But can you spot how the piece is being won? Nezhmetdinov played the absolute perfect move, which is this nice rook to f1, just attacking that bishop, and that knight is definitely going to be overloaded. A knight to g7 was played, and now with this knight caps on rook caps on f6 and knight caps on e6 and just rook captures. Now the material is roughly equal. White is just up a pawn, but black has a terrible position and pretty much a losing one. But here still Tal tries a few more moves. Here bishop to b5 was played, just attacking that rook, but just rook to c7. And here after h5, we have rook caps on g6, and after king to f8, we have this bishop to h6 check, and after king to e8, rook to e6 check, king to d8, and just rook to c5. We have king to d7 and just rook to b6, and after bishop caps on d3, just grabbing that pawn, because there's pretty much nothing you can do in this position. Hey, bishop to f4 was played, just this rook to f8, and only after now rook to d6 check, king to e7, rook to c7 check, king to e8, and only now that the king has been pushed onto the back ranks, we have this bishop to g5. Now setting up a mating net, and after rook to f1 the check was played, we have king to h1, and after bishop to b1, now there's actually a mate in 5 getting spotted, and the move is actually this rook to h6. And there's pretty much nothing you can do in this position, and and now you have to start giving up material. So over here, after a7, now you play this rook to e6 check first, and only after king to f8, bishop to h6 check, and after king to g8, you'll get this rook to e8 check, and now there's no defense, only move. Rook blocks, but just rook caps on f8 with a very nice checkmate. But the checkmate did not appear on the board. Here, after rook to h6, Tal, in just 40 moves, resigned the game, and Rashid Nezhmetdinov got this spectacular victory against the magician from Riga. Thank you all for watching. I'll be coming up with an amazing game, hopefully with this kind of sorcery, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Thank you all.